open and affirming,
just peace, creation justice,
global missions, immigrant welcoming, progressive Christian congregation of the United Church of Christ.
Here we strive to be
a multi-generational,
creative community sharing in joy,
living with love,
and seeking justice as we walk humbly with God.
And we're so glad that you're here.
Now is the time to worship.
come.
Now is the time to give your heart. Come, just as you are to worship. Come, just as you are before your God. Come. Every day we live in the light of God's love. Every day we walk with faith. Now we need to open our hearts once more. Now we give thanks for grace.
Good morning. Once again, bienvenidos a todos. Estamos muy agradecidos que estén con nosotros. We're so happy that you're here and we want to welcome you. Entonces, gracias por venir. Vamos a tener un servicio lleno de amor, paz, justicia y gente de Dios. So we're so glad that you're here. Let's sing some more and we'll get to know you in just a moment.
Come, now is the time to worship. Come, now is the time to give your heart. Come, just as you are to worship. Come, just as you are before your God.
All right, everybody, you may be seated.
Well, good morning once more. Thank you so much for joining us here. You've come to our second service, our more contemporary style service, and also our more intimate service. So we're glad that you are here on this Sunday of summer that brings many people back to school this week. So we're glad that you've made it. And we also want to celebrate that you're here by welcoming anyone who might be here for the first time. And if you're watching online, we especially want to welcome and thank you for joining us. You can learn more about who we are by heading to our website. And also, we have a little QR code you might want to follow so that we can intentionally welcome you, go out to coffee maybe, or spend some time in conversation hearing your story. But most importantly, we invite you following our service to get a coffee, and maybe there's a donut out there so that we can share in some socializing and share a little bit of our stories with one another. So thank you so much for being here. As a church of our community and in our denomination, we believe in the power of prayer, and we do have Stephen ministers who are here to connect with you. And if you would like to take a moment to pray individually or to share something on your heart, we have Stephen ministers who will be available at our banner following this service. Today we're celebrating our leadership, those who have committed to leadership within the church. And so some of the folks who are here are from our more first service regulars, and I think some of our second service regulars will come in as the time continues on. We want to know that, we want you to know that we acknowledge that we are a church and that some people who come to our church have experienced religious trauma. And so because of that, we have created a restoration room, and so that was available just outside these doors and to the right. That's great if you're neurodivergent, and being in a space like this can be challenging for an hour. We'll try to make it less than that. And we want you to know that you're welcome to experience worship that way. This is a smaller group, and so we hope that this space may be more inviting and welcoming if you feel a little bit overwhelmed. Lots happening here, and I am going to introduce you shortly to the leadership of our church. Those who are with us, we're going to be inducting them, installing them into our leadership among us. But I also wanted to take a moment, because I see we have a lot of kids here with us this morning, and acknowledge once again that this is the time when many are heading back to school. We also have teachers in our congregation and those who are supporting educational staff to make school happen. And I want to say, I see you. I know that going back to school can be challenging. There might be some excitement. No. Some reluctance. Sometimes some anxiety. And so I want you to know that your church cares about you. And we want to support you and cheer you on as you head back to school. And to all of the teachers and all the families and the parents that are dealing with this transition, we also acknowledge that it can be challenging for us as well. So we'll hold you in our prayers, and in just a moment we'll give you hugs if you're ready, or high fives, and cheer you on as you head back in during this next week or so. With that, we want to just welcome you once more and take a time to say hello to one another. One of our favorite things at second service is walking around and saying hi. Then we'll be back with a gong and a song. So hi.
All right, everybody, we're going to sing together now. The song is called Cry of My Heart. You may know it if you listen to kind of contemporary Christian songs. But either way, it repeats and you're going to kind of get to know it. Plus, we're going to lead you through. So please stand in body or spirit as we sing the song, The Cry of My Heart.
Teach me your
All right. Well, we have some guests to our second service. Many of those folks are from our first service, and most of them are in leadership of our church. And so I want to invite those leaders who have now spent 3 days and lots of time and energy committing themselves to our church to come forward so you can meet them and they can recommit themselves to all of you. So these are people who are serving in either our ministries board or our administration board, and I would love to introduce them to you. So we have right here, this is Mr. Greg Furtado. He is in his first year as our membership chair. So that means he's a friendly guy that wants to get to know you. This is Myrna Bohan. She is in her first year as the administration board chair. This is Maria Carrillo, who is continuing in her service as the chair of the deacons ministry. This is Felicity Figueroa, who's continuing her service as the chair of the ministries board. And I introduce you to Martha McCartney, who is serving in her first term as our moderator. Keith Boyam is in his second or third term, second term, he's keeping count, and he shares the role with Dave Smith as the chair of our Advocates for Peace and Justice. And by the way, our Advocates Ministry invites you to join them following this service. They always have really wonderful gatherings as they talk about current issues that relate to us and how we live in our world today. Have questions? Ask Keith. I introduce you now to Annie Young, who's often out with us at second service. You may know. Annie is in her first year serving as the chair of our communications ministry. And you may know Richard Davenport. He's around every so often at our second service, and he is chairing for the first time this year in our adult programs ministry. Continuing for several years, third year or so, is Jerry Davenport. Pastor Jerry, you may know if you've been around a little while, has served during the time of our interim when I'm on sabbatical. Jerry serves in our worship ministry. And we have Paul Strasma, who is in his second year as the chair of our finance committee, which serves the administration board. And the one who's in charge of the goodies, so an important person, who was in a very important job as the admin chair, has now been promoted to serve as the chair of hospitality, Daniel Blackbird. Ministry of Snacks. And his life partner, Lauren Louie, is continuing in her role as the clerk of the ministries board. Brand new to her role is Lelouch Luminesque, who is serving as the chair of technology. And yes. And then right next to her is Emily Smead, who is in her first role as the treasurer of our church. Amazing leaders, amazing people who've committed. I also would invite our staff to kind of stand up. And that's all of you here, all of our staff. We can join your staff too. Everyone stand up. And let us ask them a few questions, church. I'll start with the questions and let's see how they do. Friends and leaders, you have been called into leadership in our church. Will you covenant to serve faithfully, to strengthen the ministry and mission of this church, guard the heart of who we are, and make space for the diverse voices, experiences, and gifts of our community? Relying on God's grace, will you listen deeply, act with integrity, seek justice, love in kindness, and walk humbly with God, remaining open to voices so often overlooked? And people of this church, will you support these leaders, share in the work of ministry, offer your prayers and encouragement, and hold one another accountable with grace and love. Then let us covenant together to lead and serve in the ways of Jesus, sharing responsibility, making space for one another's gifts, bearing one another's burdens, and extending radical hospitality, trusting God to call us into something greater than any one of us can accomplish alone. So will you pray with me? Touch them all as I'd like to give a little energy out to them and to our staff members who lead us with their incredible ministry and integrity. God of grace, we pray that you will guide these leaders in your love, give them wisdom for the decisions that they make, courage when the way is difficult, humility to listen, and compassion to lead with care. Give this congregation generous minds and hearts to support and empower their leadership, that together we may strengthen all our ministry. Help us identify and do the things that most need to be done, allowing the rest to find its right place. That each of us may take our part and none be overburdened. May your leadership and our service reflect the way of Jesus, who calls us to love and serve and to walk together. We pray this trusting in your grace. Amen. Thank you. Get to work. And now it's time for a fresh word.
It's time for Fresh Word.
Hello, thespians. We are back for another episode of Fresh Word. Any true artist will tell you that the secret to great acting isn't pretending. The secret to great acting is behaving truthfully under imaginary circumstances. If there is no honesty, the audience knows it is fake. That is precisely the problem that King David had. David made a huge mistake, a huge mess, and instead of yelling cuts and telling the truth, he tried to put on a performance, yes. What is the biggest mess you have ever made?
When I was like 5, I don't know why, but I just opened a bunch of soda and threw it on the floor, and then tried making a volcano out of it.
Nice.
One time I was doing a show, and I was doing my makeup for the show, and I dropped my blush on the floor, and there was a huge pile of powdered blush on the floor.
Micah made a mess because one day he was upstairs during the pandemic and I was working downstairs on my computer, and he was quiet for a long time, and I went upstairs and he had dyed his hair to a big old pink blob. It was a mess. It was all over everything.
David tried to act like he was still the perfect, innocent king. Like everything was fine, but it was not. You cannot fake a performance for God. God is the ultimate audience, yes. God sees right through the bad acting. When we mess up, God doesn't want us to try and cover up with lies. God merely wants us to be honest.
Excuse me, Mr. Director, sir.
Socrates, you are interrupting my very important monologue, yes.
Somebody ate my jelly donut in the green room.
This is an outrage. Who would commit such a crime against the theater?
It was you, sir. You have powdered sugar on your scarf.
Well, it appears I have been exposed.
You owe me $2 for that.
If you'll excuse me, I must make a dramatic exit to the bakery. Until next time, to thine own self be fresh.
I now invite you to take a deep breath with me as we center ourselves for today's sermon. Inhale and exhale. We come with stories we have been told, stories of heroes and villains, of saints and sinners, but God sees the whole story. Help us look again at what we thought we knew and listen for what we may have missed. Open our hearts to see with new eyes, for God sees us fully, our courage and our failures, our beauty and our brokenness. And still, God calls us beloved. Come, let us listen and discover that there is always more to the story. Amen.
Lord, listen to your children pray. Lord, send your spirit in this place. Lord, listen to your children pray. Send us love, send us power, send us grace.
Holy One, you meet us here as we bring with us all of the burdens and the joys of our lives. We know that you are with us always, but now we open ourselves up to you to lay down that which is heavy and to lift up in gratitude that which brings us joy. As we come together in this space, we take time to acknowledge what we're carrying both internally and externally by voicing our prayers aloud. At the same time, we'll see the names of those on our prayer list who've asked for prayers from our community. Listen to your children praying.
Pray for trans and non-binary rights and lives. Pray for the people of Palestine and the people of Ukraine and Iran and everywhere affected by war and unjust violence.
For those who have been detained in immigration prisons, their families who are scared and worried, for all of us as we come to grips with our current state. We protect and love our neighbors. Holy One, you hear the prayers that we say out loud. They're the ones we hold deep inside. Be with us. Embrace us in your love and in your light, and send us forward from this place to share that love and to create more light, that we will be your beacons of hope, truth, justice, and comfort. In your name we pray. Amen.
Lord, listen to your children praying. Lord, send your spirit in this place. Lord, listen to your children praying. Send us love, send us power, send us grace. Send us love, send us power, send us grace.
We continue holding the prayers. We hold the tension of all that is hard and just in our world, and all of the gifts of hope. We want you to know that you are a gift. Whatever it is that you're carrying, we want you to So welcome here. Each of us consider how our lives may continue to be an offering for the good, the hope of God's world. So as we give this morning, may we do so with a commitment to living a life in
We lift our voices, we lift our hands, we lift our lives up to you. We are an offering. God, use our voices. God, use our hands. God, use our lives. They are yours. We are an offering. All that we have, all that we are, all that we hope to be, we give to you. We give to you. We lift our voices, we lift our hands, we lift our lives up to you. We are an offering, we are an offering.
The scripture this morning comes to us out of the book of Psalms, Psalm 101, Psalm of David. I will sing of your love and justice to you, Lord, I will sing praise. I will be careful to lead a blameless life. When will you come to me? I will conduct the affairs of my house with a blameless heart. I will not look with approval on anything that is vile. I hate what faithless people do. I will have no part in it. The perverse of heart shall be far from me. I will have nothing to do with what is evil.
On the day Samuel came to anoint me as king, my big bros grumbled, but the Lord did his thing. I took the crown of Israel, made Jerusalem my own, the greatest king in history. Yeah, bad to the bone, bad to the bone, bad to the bone. Bad, 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 bad to the bone. That big old Goliath stood 9 feet in the air. He cursed the God of armies, but I didn't even care. I grabbed my trusty sling, loaded with a stone. I went for a headshot, 'cause I'm bad to the bone, bad to the bone, bad to the bone, bad, 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 bad to the bone. I'm a master musician. I write songs of praise. I dance before the covenant in a holy, joyful days. I'm a warrior poet, sitting on my throne. I'm the world's greatest star. Yeah, I'm bad to the bone, bad to the bone, bad to the bone, bad, 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 bad to the bone.
He's bad to the bone. You know that Dustin is starting seminary? He's beginning the first year of seminary on his road to becoming a pastor himself. Exciting. Back to school for you, too. Bad to the bone. I will sing of your love and justice to you, Lord. I will sing praise. I will be careful to lead a blameless life. When will you come to me? The words of the poet, singing the praises of God, harp in hand, the epitome of faithfulness, the little shepherd boy who outbraved the bravest, who took down the giant and made his family proud, the man who unites a kingdom, the greatest king of all, David. Everybody loves David. So beloved, he gets a star, and forever after, people will wear it around their necks as a symbol of unity. David, the perfecter of Israel, father of the wise, ancestor of Jesus, David. Everybody loves him. So maybe one guy, maybe two. Uriah, you know him? No? Back in June, on Father's Day, actually, we read the whole intro to the Gospel of Matthew, and it was a whole bunch of names telling the lineage of Jesus. Some names we knew, some names we didn't. You might recall that Jesus linked back through great king, wise Solomon, whose parents, as Matthew described, were David and the wife of Uriah. Interesting, isn't it? Not so much that wise Solomon took the throne, but that his mother was described as the wife of somebody other than David. But suddenly this guy's crown's looking a little crooked. Well, I mean, the thing is, she enticed him, really. It wasn't his fault. David was merely walking atop the roof of his palace, like you do, when his eyes caught sight of a woman bathing. And she was beautiful, stunning, long hair, supple skin, gorgeous. And her eyes were just calling to him. Why was she bathing so close to the palace? She was practically throwing herself at him. Like anybody was going to believe that she was bathing in a secluded place. I mean, come on. What kind of a wall was that surrounding her? Like it was an accident? She didn't think that somebody was going to be looking from above. Didn't matter that she had a husband. I guess she didn't think about that when she decided to lure David in. Or maybe she and her husband had both tried to entrap the king. Pure David, the beloved king, the hero, God's chosen. He would never try to steal another man's wife. And he certainly would have been spying on a woman while she bathed. Of course not. He only sent for her because she had already sent for him. And she was obviously a shady lady. How would David have even known that she was married, right? Or maybe Uriah was clueless to the plan. The moment she reeled David in, she realized she had to get rid of her husband. So she told the king she was pregnant. Classic move. That's what you do, right? That's how you trap a man down, lock him in. She was probably the originator of this move. So David took care of her problem and took care of Uriah, an easy obstacle to overcome. It was that seductress temptress that lured in our passionate, powerful king, and that was not his fault that he succumbed to temptation. After all, it was David who penned these promissory words, "I will conduct the affairs of my house with a blameless heart." Did you hear that? Wait, listen closely. Me. Me what? Me too? Too. Matthew didn't even give her a name. Me too, she says. But she did have a name, and she had a story. I don't really know her story, but I've heard enough of stories similar from women who've also said, me too. She had a name. It was Bathsheba. You might not know her whole story, but let's take a look at what we do have from the 2 Samuel chapter 11. The story begins in the spring of the year, the times when kings go out to battle. And King David loved battle, right? This guy was a young kid begging to get on the battlefield. He was so much so that he delivered lunch to his family members, begging to fight the great Goliath. Of course, he was out to battle. Except he's on the rooftop. Seems a little strange that the greatest warrior of all stayed home. So here he is, sending the kings out to battle, but David heads to the rooftop to scope out a different kind of conquest. Now that he's top dog, he can send others to battle for him. And so one afternoon, it says he rises from his couch. Wait, he'd been lounging around on the couch? Well, don't worry about that. But that's how he spots her. The truth is, we don't really know what Bathsheba knew. We don't know if she knew David could see her. We don't. We don't know that she was trying to be seen. We don't know that she was trying to entice anybody. The text doesn't tell us any of that. So when we're back in the text, we've got David, the great king, who's at home on a couch, rising to look down into a women's bathing area. Interesting. And then it tells us what David does next. First, he looks, and then he asks, "Who is that?" Someone tells him, and then David sends for her. And this is where we need to notice something that has so many ways been hiding in plain sight. For centuries, people have looked at Bathsheba through David's eyes. And in doing so, we've inherited his gaze. We've taken this view of her and made it about her character. Convenient. She was beautiful, therefore she was seductive. She was bathing, therefore she was inviting him. He wanted her, therefore she must have wanted him. What that is the very description of the male gaze. It takes a woman being seen and turns it into a woman wanting to be seen. She didn't lure David onto the roof. Logistically, how could she have? David used his view from above to look over a wall. David wants to treat Bathsheba's bathing as an invitation. Look at me, David. I'm naked. But it's such a misogynistic reading. She's bathing. She's not auditioning. The text tells us that she's performing a ritual of purification. Bathsheba wasn't giving him come hither looks. Taking a bath. David was looking. That's the first invasion. The problem isn't that Bathsheba was visible. The problem is that David believed his power gave him access to what he saw, permission to see it. And suddenly we're not talking about a man who just accidentally happened to see a beautiful woman. We're talking about a king who believed that seeing something gave him the right to have it. The object of his desire. She's literally objectified, so much so that Matthew can't even use her name. And so she disappears as a person. It's like she got swallowed up by this story, squashed. So when David asks, he does ask, who was that woman? The answer was, well, that's Bathsheba, daughter of Eliam, wife of Uriah. In other words, this is a woman with a name and with relationships. He now knows who her father is. He knows who her husband is, but he doesn't care. And because women were basically property of the men of their lives, she's defined by them. So David demonstrates not only the obvious lack of respect for her, but also lack of respect for her father and her husband. Poor Uriah. This is a terrible story for him. In fact, after sending for her, taking her, he sends her back home. And his plan is to just play off this pregnancy, get Uriah and Bathsheba together, and nobody's going to know the difference. Only it didn't work out that way. So then he thinks, okay, next plan. I might get a son out of this, so he disposes of the husband. It is beyond shady. This is the epitome of our series. We've got a bad boy of the Bible here today. Look at him, he's right center. Crooked crown. He then instructs his commander, Joab, to move Uriah to the front lines and then tells everybody else to fall back so he gets killed. He plays it so that it looks like this guy died at the hands of his enemy when he basically delivered him to the enemy so that they could do his killing for him. How messed up is this, you guys? Seriously. But makes David look squeaky clean. Except that we know he wasn't. David thought he managed the story. Bathsheba was back home. Uriah was dead. She could mourn for an appropriate amount of time. The kingdom kept running. Nobody was asking any questions. The hero remained the hero. That's how power usually works, right? Powerful people don't just commit harm. Sometimes they get other people to do it for them. They don't just get ahead of the story. They actually control the narrative. They decide whose version gets told. They decide whose voice gets heard, and therefore whose will be believed. They decide who gets to be remembered as the hero and who gets to be remembered as the temptress. And for a very long time, that is actually how Bathsheba was read. Matthew's refusal to say her name. It makes it feel like she's just disappeared. Looks like David's gotten away with all of it. He's enjoyed being a bad boy. I mean, he's kind of the real braggart that Dustin makes him out to be. Yeah, I did it. I did it all. I'm bad to the bone. Except that even though he could control an army, even though he could control the strings, even though he made the story happen, he could decide whether Bathsheba was a seductress or a wife, depending on his whim, except that he could kill anybody who might know the truth and told him. He couldn't escape Nathan. Enter the prophet. Now, he does something masterful. He doesn't outright accuse David of what he's done. He tells a little story about a rich man with a bunch of sheep and a poor man who only has one little ewe. And the rich man takes the poor man's lamb. And David, who's still somewhere deep inside, there's that little shepherd boy, he is outraged at this story. This is horrible. What an injustice, he cries. That man deserves to die. So Nathan knows that dear old David knows what injustice looks like. I mean, he's incensed by it. But what David doesn't suspect is that Nathan turns the story around and then looks David square in the eyes to declare, you are the man. Not you're the man. You're the thief. He abused the situation. He abused his power. And it sounds to me like he also sexually abused Bathsheba. I did not read consent in the story, did you? But here's the thing, he's still David, this poet, the shepherd boy with unexplained courage, David the giant killer, David the man who loved God, and David the bad guy. It's so hard to reconcile this behavior. The same behavior that cast Bathsheba as the manipulator or the willing participant, that well-worn trope that we will hear again and again in our beloved Bible, where the woman is a seductress. She's the one. She's the adulterer. Just to make David look like he was less of a bad guy. He's a monster. He's the greatest king of Israel. He's a hero. Scoundrel, a justice seeker, the rapist. David, king of Israel, reminds me of Saint Cesar Chavez, patron saint of the farm worker. What do we do with these men who do good things and horrible things? I have been struggling all year with this revelation about Cesar Chavez, and that our beloved Dolores Huerta, who helped build the farm worker movement, confessed that she kept her silence about the abuse that she and other women suffered because she feared that telling the truth about Cesar would hurt the movement they built and the farm worker themselves who were inspired by him. Think about that. The movement was so important. And it was. Dolores knows that's true. This movement was important and continues to be important. So much so that they had to carry the cost of protecting it. Suddenly, we have all the same questions as we have with David in the ancient world. What do we do when a person who did something terrible is also the person who did something extraordinary? What do we do with the heroes whose stories don't fit neatly in a stained glass picture frame? Do we throw out everything they ever did? Or do we make excuses for what they did because we need them to remain our heroes? Do we remain silent in the face of injustice? These are real questions. People must be asking. We must be asking ourselves. I think there is a way, and I think we see it here. We tell the story. We tell as much of the story as we can find out. We tell the truth about the good that they did, and we also tell the truth about the harm that they did. And we refuse to make the people who they harmed disappear so that we can keep our loving hero. We give Bathsheba her name back. We don't write her story as though she consented, and certainly not as though she seduced. And we celebrate the farm worker movement. It matters. The injustice it fought and continues to fight is real, and the good that came from it is real. And the harm that Chavez is accused of doing is very real. One truth doesn't erase another. How do we hold it? I have to admit, I'm struggling with it. I am not there. I'm not coming to you telling I've got it all figured out. I have a really hard time with this revelation about Cesar Chavez, and I am stuck with the hypocrisy of this biblical bad boy of ours. It's really hard for me not to put both of them in prison and take away the key. Maybe that goes back to the simple reality that we've been holding all summer long, that we like having villains. Week after week, we just keep coming back to this, that villains make it easier for us to be us. We know what to do with them. We can point at them. We can condemn them, and we can make sure that we're standing on the right side. All of a sudden, everybody shifted to this side. What do we do? David makes it harder for us because he's not just the man who does this terrible thing. He also wrote the words that we sing. The 23rd Psalm is attributed to him. The shepherd, the giant slayer, the king, the man God loved, and the man that Nathan saw and held accountable. All these things. And that makes me really uncomfortable. Sure, it makes you a little uncomfortable too, right? Having this complicated, powerful, gifted, faithful, broken human being who did something terrible, like Chavez, who awful. And that hypocrisy is really hard for me to hold. And the thing that makes it so much worse is that David is sitting there saying these beautiful things. I will conduct the affairs of my house with a blameless heart. And yet, this guy who believed his own righteousness was also doing harm. He's not just a hypocrite, worse. But maybe we need stories like this. Maybe we need them to remind us that we can call the shady out, but also to remind us that we rarely know the whole story. We have to listen for the voices who don't speak, whose perspectives never get shared. We need Nathan the prophet. The world needs more Nathans. Honestly, this is why I think this church is so important, called to be a prophetic voice, to be brave enough not only to see something, but say something. People who can speak truth in love. We need more of that. We also need to celebrate the humility of the hero, to be a humble hero. That's what Micah 6:8 tells us, right? Our favorite passage here at IUCC. Humility matters. This story can do a lot for us because it invites us to see more deeply. It invites us and reminds us that every story has multiple perspectives, multiple interpretations. It reminds us that as people of faith, we're called to ask ourselves questions about the situations that we find ourselves in. Not just ancient, so very present. What part of the story isn't being told? Whose story am I not hearing? Whose humanity have I reduced to a footnote? Has somebody been silenced? Whom have I made responsible for someone else's choices? And perhaps the hardest question of all, where might I be the hero of the story that someone else is experiencing very differently? Because David was a hero, and David was a scoundrel. David loved God. David abused power and people. David wrote beautiful words while doing harmful things. All of it's true. And what makes the story so uncomfortable is what makes it so necessary. Because we can't just come here and sing our songs of praise. We can't just show up to church on Sunday morning and rest on the laurels of our good deeds. You don't get a permission slip when you leave. Now you've done it. Good for the week. No, we have to go deeper. We have to move beyond our simple stories and go beyond our comfort zones. It's so easy for us to fall for worshiping the hero and condemning the villain and then done with it all. Nathan does something that's so much harder. He looked deeper and he saw more and invites us to do the same. Take a second look. And a third look, and hold that uncomfortable space. What he did, so David could take a good look at himself. We can't stop looking at the injustices in our world. There are. But we also cannot protect heroes who have done bad things. We have to call justice out. We have to listen to the parts of the story that might not be readily shared, the parts that may have intentionally been buried, and tell the stories. We have to listen for the whispers. Bathsheba and all the women whose stories have been silenced, or Uriah, who has only got a little tiny piece of his story. All the stories of those who've been pushed to the margins because somebody else's story seemed more important. Say the names. Look for their faces. Hear their words. Listen. Always more to the story. And so, brothers and sisters, siblings in Christ, go out into the world. You're good. Go out into the world where there's so much injustice, where so much is buried. Eyes are turned blind. And look, listen, be present to share the love and carry the light. Amen. Let's sing.
All right, let's stand and sing ourselves out. 1, 2.
We have all witnessed your presence. We have received your grace. We give you honor and glory for moving in this place. Now we go out to share the good news. Now we go out to share your love. Now we go out to share the good news. Now we go out to share your love. Carry the light, carry the light, carry the light to all the earth. Carry the light, carry the light, carry the light of Jesus Christ. Carry the light, carry the light, carry the light to all the earth. Carry the light, carry the light, carry the light of Jesus Christ.
Happy Sunday, everybody. Thanks for coming, guests. Come back. All right. Have a good Sunday, everybody. I'll take it. He wants it? Okay. I just have to now pull everything off that I don't want, and then I'll refresh it so you won't have all my junk on there. All right, you're welcome. Yeah, I'll let you know when I've got it. Maybe I'll give it to you next Sunday. It's actually a good little picture.
I know it is. Just for me, because you said it might not, it doesn't upgrade to the newest one. It might not.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had a few moments where it was telling me